Hey everyone, this is Aliana. This video is going to be very different from any video I've made in the past, and it's probably going to be the most important message I've created or shared to date, at least on this channel. It's not going to be about business or marketing or branding or anything like that, so it might have something to do with self-expression, but it's a lot deeper than that. So I want to talk to you guys about something that I've noticed with a lot of people who are spiritually inclined, if you will. There's this tendency to discover certain things about ourselves and very quickly go and try to absorb as much bookish knowledge or information as possible and then go share it with the world. And this becomes problematic when people want to assume a position of teaching or being a teacher, which is a big word, to call oneself a spiritual teacher. I am not a spiritual teacher. Let me be clear about that. I don't know if had multiple people actually think that and flat out ask me what kind of teacher I was. I'm not a spiritual teacher. So I've noticed a lot of people, let's say have an awakening experience or multiple awakening experiences, and they start meditating, and then they go and they learn from this or that teacher, and then they start reading about ancient knowledge, and then they practice some of it, and then they want to go and teach other people, and they're very eager to coach and teach and guide. And here's the problem with that. Spiritual teaching doesn't happen through words or action. It doesn't happen that way. Spiritual teaching happens through presence. So when we be it, when we embody it, when we apply it in our own lives, when we become it, not even through action, by the way, it's through just being it, through a state of being, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. That's when we become it. And when we become it, people are transformed in our presence. Our presence becomes healing to the person that we are around, but it's not us who's doing it. I am not a teacher. I am not the teacher. I may be somebody's teacher, mostly unintentionally, and somebody else is my teacher, generally unintentionally as well. It is not I who decides to be a teacher. It's not up to the people who learn to decide that I am their teacher. It's up to the ultimate reality. Ultimate reality decides that in this moment, this person is going to learn a lesson through this person. That's it. Okay, I have nothing to do with it, you have nothing to do with it, we have nothing to do with it. But a lot of spiritual people go around proclaiming to be spiritual teachers, which I think is a huge thing to say or to assume. It's okay, it's fine. I have my own resistance to it. That's up to me to work on that. But I invite you, if you are somebody who wants to be in a position of spiritual teaching, to take the things that you've learned and apply them silently, quietly, humbly in your own life for some time until you feel that you've fully embodied it and that you are detached from the teaching and from teaching it, from the idea of teaching it to other people. Because as long as you need to teach it to somebody, as long as you need an audience of listeners, of people who will pay attention to what you say, who will apply it, then you know that you are not doing it because it's your natural self-expression. Not doing it because it's your spontaneous expression. You're doing it because at some level you want to validate something within yourself that says, I want to be listened to, I want to be perceived as a spiritual teacher. And that is a very dangerous place to be in because it distracts us from the work. Spirituality doesn't happen when we speak about it and when we act it or when we practice it. It's not the rituals, it's not the meditation that makes you spiritual, it's not the prayer that makes you spiritual, it's not the mantra, it's not the yoga, it's none of that. It's not speaking about it, it's not acting even morally or ethically does not make you a spiritual person. It's not that. Spirituality is a being. It's a state of being, period. What it means to be spiritual is it means that you are aligned with the spirit, and to be aligned with the spirit, it means you are aligned with the truth. And when you are aligned with the truth, it doesn't matter what you say or how you say it or what you do, or even if you do or say anything, because you become an emanation of the truth. And when you become an emanation of the truth, people are transformed in your presence. Knowledge is transferred to the other person just by being in your proximity, just by being around you. people learn. So it is foolish to think that we can learn a few things or a lot of things, or we can accumulate bookish knowledge or know the latest, most sophisticated meditation, or most ancient, most impressive sounding meditation techniques and breath work, and know a bunch of sophisticated words, and somehow we become spiritual, or that we act in a certain way and that makes us spiritual because that makes us kind and nice and awesome beings. You are kind, not because that's the right thing to do, but that's because that's who you are. So you are kind. You are kind because you are kind. You're not loving because that's the right thing to do. You are love. You recognize your nature as love, so you are loving. That's what it means to be spiritual, is that you recognize that as your nature. You be it. You become it. You become the meditation. You become the conversation. You become the speaking. You become the thing. You become one with the thing that you are, quote unquote, doing or saying, or and it's I don't claim to be anywhere near embodying that in my life, in everything that I do, but it's certainly something I, quote unquote, practice every day. But I am highly aware that the practice doesn't make me that. It's just a practice. The meditation, it's a practice. It's a practice to be. What does it mean to be? It's to bring back our consciousness internally within. When you recollect your consciousness, so instead of having your thoughts everywhere, you're creating stories and fabricating stories in your mind and your emotions and all of that, and you're trying to make sense of reality with the mind. Instead of doing that, when you bring your consciousness back within, and instead you cast the light of your awareness on all the parts of you that you suppress or deny or reject, and you accept them as part of you, and you give love to those things. When you give love to it, or loving awareness, that's it. That's all you need. That's what heals us, and that's all we need to do. That's the practice of spirituality or spiritual being, is to love and heal oneself. This is why I can't stop talking about healing. I can't stop talking about loving oneself. I can't stop talking about awareness, because that's where the work is, and everything else is smoke and mirrors. Everything else is a distraction unless you understand that it's all about going back here. It's all about going back within. And if you think that the answer is out there in the meditation, then you are still living in this illusion of separation. I hear so many spiritual people talk about things like ascension, or ascension from 3D to 5D, or being star seeds, and and all of these things. And I am like, all of these are still a construct of the mind. It's still an illusion. It's like you're still watching TV. It's a better movie than the one that most people are watching, but you're still watching a projection. It's not reality. You're still getting caught up in an illusion. Come back within. Come back within. That is, in my experience, that is the practice. Everything else, not saying you can't or shouldn't do the other things. That's like, if it's fun to you, that's, if it's meaningful to you, by all means do it. But what I'm saying is that anything and everything that you're looking for is nowhere to be found. It's all within. And if you align yourself with the truth, that is your inner truth, then you don't have to worry about anything else. I will tell you that the way I generally gauge, or know the right answer or the right way is if it's rooted in love. That's really it. All you have to do is be connected to your heart, and if you do that, then you can never go wrong. So that was the video for today. I have nothing to sell you because spirituality is very simple. I wish you well, and I'll see you next week.